YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back, and we're officially in the NFL offseason, and I got an updated 2-round NFL mock draft post-Super Bowl here. We got free agency coming up. We got the Combine coming up, going through a lot of draft film. So with my findings, I'll update another mock draft before the Combine hits, and then, of course, we'll have one post-Combine. All kinds of other content on the way as well. Before we get started with this mock, we have a 40K subscriber goal that we actually just hit on this channel yesterday. So really appreciate the support. We hit that goal just as the season ended there. So really appreciate it. But we have a new channel, the Goat House Plus. We want everybody that subscribes to this channel to go over and subscribe to that channel. So it shouldn't be too hard to get that one to 40K. Once we do, 7-round mock draft instantly. I'll almost instantly do it. So we want both those channels kind of to match the subscriber rate there. So we'd really appreciate if you can help us out. Full NFL content, free agency NFL draft coverage this offseason. And then follow our Twitter at GoatHouseNFL. There's going to be a link in the description for that, as well as the Goat House Plus link. Constantly talking football every single day and answering questions on the Twitter. So that's a must follow there. Would really appreciate it. Let's get into the mock draft. First 8 picks, we're going to break it down real quick at the top 2. I mean, it's almost locked in right now. Joe Burrow, first overall, the quarterback from LSU, a safe quarterback prospect, insane year. You'll love to see improvement. That makes you feel a little better about drafting a player. When you see that he's coachable, he can improve, he's still improving. So, I mean, I got to lock that in at the first pick. The second pick, pretty much got to lock it in. We're pretty close to doing that. Chase Young, the edge defender from Ohio State, a lot of people's first overall player in the draft. He's going to be top 2 for me. I got Joe Burrow at 1 for the moment. But adding Chase Young to that Ron Rivera defense could be very scary. That could be a damn good defense. The only reason, I won't say it's 100% of a lock. It's damn close. But the reason I won't is what if they feel like they're okay with Ryan Kerrigan and Montez Sweat, and they kind of go for another top player at a bigger need, maybe like Isaiah Simmons. They can play at linebacker with Cole Holcomb, and they can put him in the slot. They can put him at safety if they want. Maybe they feel like they're losing Trent Williams. They need to get one of these offensive linemen like Mekhi Becton. They can go multiple different routes here for more of a need, but my opinion, you don't draft off need. You don't purely draft off need because then you'll pass on great players. Teams do it all the time, but I don't think that's the case here. You take Chase Young, you get the pass rusher of the future, Chase Young and Montez Sweat, even though Ryan Kerrigan can still play. But it's always good to have a rotation too. If you keep Kerrigan, you can trade him for more picks. You can keep him. You can find ways to use these guys in different ways. It could be a scary defense. The Lions. This is where the draft starts. Everybody says it, but it feels even crazier now. I mean, it's very unpredictable what they'll do here. I mean, you could predict it, but I got Isaiah Simmons here. He's my number 3 player in the draft. The guy is an absolute freak on top of the production being there. Usually these crazy freaky guys. I mean, Chase Young's a freak too, but usually these like insanely freaky guys, athletic guys, don't really have the production, but he has it. And not only does he have it, he has it in multiple positions. This is a guy that I think could fit Patricia's defense. I think the linebacker position is the most important spot in Patricia's defense. We've seen it with the Patriots. Guys like Hightower and Kyle Van Noy run that defense. Simmons is a guy that can do multiple things for them. It's going to be very tough for Patricia to I know it's not all up to him. I mean, he's the head coach. He's not really in the front office, but it's going to be tough for him to pass on a guy like Isaiah Simmons. It's going to be very tough. And why I say this pick is crazy is because they can go Isaiah Simmons. They can go Jeff Okudah, the clear best corner. We'll talk about my thoughts on the cornerback position a little bit and where I think Jeff Okudah could go. They could go Derek Brown. We see how important interior pass rush is. It's rare. When you get it, it's a game changer. Derek Brown is an elite prospect in this draft class. You can go that route. They actually could use a starting right tackle. Rick Wagner could be gone. He's not playing up to expectations. Jedrick Wills could be that right tackle. So there's a list of guys they can go with. They also can trade back and still get their hands on one of these guys. So maybe that's the ideal situation. No trades in this mock. Simmons might be hard for them to pass on Simmons, what he can do and how freaky he is. I'm sticking with Simmons there. That's tough, though, because the guys that don't go here, out of the guys I listed, some of them is going to fall. One of those guys is going to fall at least. So we'll see here where I got those guys going. For Giants, I'm sticking with Jedrick Wills, their offensive lineman in Alabama, best right tackle in the draft. Rare to come across the really good right tackles. A lot of good pass rushers coming from that side going against right tackles. It's a little easier for them. So you need a good one. The Giants need a good one. Mike Remmer's definitely not going to cut it. And Wills is very good at run blocking as well. You got Saquon Barkley. You got Daniel Jones in there. Need him protected. You have to go offensive line. If Simmons is available, he will be very appealing for Dave Gettleman. That's a guarantee, even though they could still take Wills. But yeah, they go Wills here. That makes too much sense. Sticking with Tua Tagovailoa, quarterback from Alabama at number 5, very talented quarterback. It's a top 5 player in this draft class, and he's coming off unfortunate injury, but will be good to go the month of the draft. He'll do a workout. Still curious to know if a team plays it safe, whoever drafts him and sits him early on. That's still to be determined, but you see how gifted he is. He's already recovering for an injury that we thought maybe could end his career. It's a quarterback. You can run multiple different offenses. You can have multiple different play styles, looks, throw defenses off. I like that he's mobile. I'm a big believer in having, he's got to be somewhat mobile. My quarterback's going to have to be somewhat mobile. If the guy can't really move, get out of the pocket, I got a big problem. To the Dolphins, the future quarterback, I'm on record saying it, and I'm going to say it again, that it's not the worst idea if they draft for the future quarterback first. They actually could win games with Fitzpatrick. They're not going to win a Super Bowl with Fitzpatrick. But if Tua's there, they don't have to trade up, possibly. They got to take him. Herbert, I still got Herbert going to the Chargers at 6. I did that a while ago, and it seems like people are kind of getting on board with that one. The Chargers, they already said they don't want Rivers back. They have Tyrod Taylor, but pretty much what led me a while ago to put Herbert up to 6 was, before I was like, okay, they may like Tyrod Taylor. He's capable of winning. I like Tyrod Taylor, but they could have put him in at any time this year with Phillip Rivers struggling, and they did not. So I don't know if they really believe in him. Already saying they don't want Rivers. I just got the feeling that they're going to go for that, that future quarterback. And teams will be split on Herbert. I worry about him a little bit because there was no improvement whatsoever. It almost felt like he was actually, maybe he won more down the stretch of his career, but it almost felt like he was his freshman year. I was blown away. The arm talent is most definitely there, and the guy can move around a bit. He's more athletic than you think. I just didn't see any improvement. He struggles to read defenses sometimes, but he has upside. He definitely has upside. We might not see it for a while. So I have the Chargers going that route. The Panthers going Mekhi Becton, offensive lineman from Louisville, going to be a left tackle. A guy that's shooting up my board, very athletic, today's NFL tackle. And interesting, we don't really see offensive linemen to the Panthers here at 7, and I find that interesting, and I'm kind of find that interesting about myself that, I didn't really think of this yet. I think it's very possible they go this route. They have I want to say it, they have several holes in their team, and they just hired Matt Rule to a 7-year contract. Rebuilding doesn't take that long anymore, but they're very much in the rebuilding process, in my opinion. I guess depending on what they do with Cam Newton, but either way, they need somebody on the left side of the line. They for sure need somebody on the left side of the line. Yeah, they could re-sign Darrell Williams, but that's not the answer. That's not the. They're looking for that young guy, and they need a guy in general. They want to set that offensive line first before anything else, get that ready. Rule knows that. Joe Brady most definitely knows that, coming from LSU. That offensive line, improvement of the offensive line really helped Joe Burrow in that offense and where they got. Becton, to me, this almost, in this scenario, what has come off the board in the top 6, to me, this is, I really think this is the pick in this scenario. I know it's really early still, but I really think it's the pick. Even with some studs like Derek Brown and Okudah left, to me, that just makes too much sense. Cardinals, I'm back to putting CeeDee Lamb there, the receiver from Oklahoma, number 1 receiver in the class, and a top-tier player in this draft. It's a can't-miss prospect. He's a do-it-all prospect, literally do-it-all prospect, a do-it-all receiver. The Cardinals run more receiver sets than anybody in the league. Larry Fitzgerald's got 1 more year left on him, most likely. Receiver's a very important position. We know this guy fits. We know he fits with Kyler Murray. You go get better with this. It's going to be hard for them to pass on Kyler Murray's former teammate here, not just because of that, because how talented he is. It could be offensive line. It could be tough to pass on Derek Brown, Jeff Okudah, and we can see at this point how good this draft class is with the guys still on the board. Next, few picks. And yeah, maybe a little surprising here that see, guys like, what we got at pick 9 and pick 11. Derek Brown, I'd say elite prospect in this draft class among a lot of other ones. I talked about interior pressure is key. This guy can get interior pressure on the quarterback. We see how good the Niners are, where they got to. They get interior pressure first. The edge rushers are out of this world as well. That helps them out. But there's a rare amount of defensive tackles that could do both. I mean, you expect them to stop the run first, but then there's a rare amount that they can do that and get after the quarterback. Derek Brown can do that. You've seen him move around. He can play nose. He can play pretty much anywhere there on the interior defensive line. You've seen him at D tackle, 3 technique. The Jags need that. They're going to cut Marcel Darius. They got an opening, pretty much 2 starting spots. Maybe Tavin Bryant can step up a bit, but at least 1 starting spot there. I know they can get somebody in free agency as well, but you can't pass on Brown here. It's a no-brainer. At the same time, you could go Okudah. You kind of could get that Jalen Ramsey back. You could do that. But you see, why do Derek Brown and guys like Okudah drop a little bit in this scenario? It's because I guess what starts at pick 3. Somebody's going to drop. Somebody's going to drop a little bit. It's not too far, though. The Browns need offensive line desperately. They get Tristan Wirfs. He's instantly going to make the run game better. It's definitely going to help in the pass game. It's really a no-brainer pick here. You need offensive line. He's worthy of the pick. You don't want to reach, but he's worthy of the pick. So it works out for them. So Jeffrey Okudah, cornerback, Ohio State, drops to pick 11, which I know people probably haven't seen that much, but you go back to my top 8 picks, and you can see the realistic way that this could happen. You can see it. It's a possibility he can go to 3. I am very aware of that. He can go at pick 3. Why I decided on, somebody has to drop a little bit. Why him? It's not really his talent. He's everything you want in a cornerback. Today's cornerback, he's everything you want. Easily the best cornerback in this draft class. It's not close. But I think the value of the position, cornerback, has gone down. It's pretty much you gotta get pass rush to help your DBs out. And we've seen the Niners do it. These offenses are going to score. The receivers are too talented. The quarterbacks are too talented. Cornerback's a very tough position to play. It's not the most valued position anymore. There's more important spots. There's more important spots. So I think Okudah could drop a little bit. You could argue the other way, too. It's rare to find this good of a corner, so, he could help your team tremendously. But if he drops to 11, the Jets got to pull the trigger there. They definitely need another corner. It's an elite cornerback prospect. So I think it's very possible, though. We haven't seen this a lot, but I think it's very possible. Go back to my first 8 picks. You can see how this is possible. Somebody's going to, it could be Isaiah Simmons that drops down here. It's going to be ridiculous, in my opinion, if that's the case, but it's possible. Derek Brown, we've seen him drop a little bit. Somebody's going to get a steal out here. There's going to be multiple steals. Jerry Jeudy, the second best receiver in the draft class, goes 12 to the Raiders. Obviously, they need a receiver. They need a dynamic one. The best route runner in the class, pretty good after the catch. Any flaws, there would be. He does drop the balls that you expect him to catch here and there. Not a huge concern. But maybe that's what splits you up with CeeDee Lamb. 13, I still got the Colts taking Jordan Love. Big potential from Jordan Love. Big arm. You've seen glimpses of Patrick. He's no way going to be Patrick Mahomes, but you kind of see it, and that's kind of what's appealing these days. I talked about it. To me, you need a top-tier quarterback to win a Super Bowl. You may need an elite quarterback to win the Super Bowl. If you don't have that, I'm all for, keep trying. That doesn't mean dump your quarterback right now, start again. It means keep on searching for that quarterback. Jordan Love, he has a lot of potential here. He has a lot of potential. He has that big play ability with the Colts are actually specifically lacking at the quarterback position and what they had from Andrew Luck. And they're rumored to really like Jordan Love, so we'll see here. Buccaneers take Andrew Thomas, offensive lineman, Georgia, so we even see Andrew Thomas drop a little bit. The Buccaneers need another offensive lineman for the future. If they want to get Rivers, whoever it may be, if they want to draft one, keep him protected. Maybe they want to re-sign Winston, keep him protected here. Do think they need a running back. I think it's a little early to take that, though. Depending on what happens in free agency, they could use another pass rusher. We got 2 free agents there with Shaq Barrett and Jason Pierre-Paul, so they may not be able to get both of them back. We will see. Interesting free agency coming up for the Buccaneers. The Broncos go Henry Ruggs. Speed. Everybody needs speed these days in today's NFL. Speed kills. Can't pass on Henry Ruggs here. Too good of a player at pick 15. At the same time, you need a receiver. Imagine pairing a guy like Ruggs with Sutton, with Drew Lock back there. Pretty scary. The Falcons take Clavon Chason, edge rusher from LSU. Traits over production. He has production, but he has the traits, first. Some people are kind of split on him. I like Chase On a lot. I think this is the latest he goes. I think big-time potential for him. A lot of upside. Pretty obvious the Falcons need pass rushers. So, I think this is the pick, or possibly A.J. Epinesa. But they go Chase On at pick 16 there. Next, Javon Kinlaw, again, another one that's too good to pass on. You could definitely argue he's a top 10 player in the class. I talk about how D-line is so important. The D-line's way more important than the secondary. The D-line could actually make the secondary play better. The secondary can't really make the defensive line and the pass rush play better. Defensive line pass rush can make everybody else play better. It's the most important thing on defense. And like I said, if you can find guys that can get interior pressure, it could be a game changer. Kinlaw still on the board. Cowboys could use a need there. Maybe you could consider some other positions a bigger need, but you can't play it like that. You go get the best player available that can start day one. That's Javon Kinlaw. Dolphins get Josh Jones, offensive lineman. Houston going to play left tackle. Big-time riser after the Senior Bowl. Dominated one-on-ones. Very impressive. Really the only tackle that was impressive to me at the Senior Bowl. How the draft is laid out. This may seem a little early for a Houston tackle, 18, but I think he's got a lot of potential. He's very athletic. He's good, but maybe they can move back a little bit. But there's so many teams that could really could take him here. There's so many teams. You start getting down to the Patriots, the next page of teams. There's teams right before the Dolphins that easily could take him. So, better safe than sorry here. He's a fit. He's a huge need. He's got a lot of potential. Maybe they can trade down just a little bit. We've seen teams move down 3 spots, 2 spots, whatever it is before. So maybe that is a scenario here. Kenneth Murray to the Raiders. Raiders need a linebacker. They need multiple linebackers. Could be Kenneth Murray. Could be Patrick Queen from LSU. I like Kenneth Murray. I think I'm a little higher on him than everybody else. Maybe durability concerns, seeing him come off the field here and there. It's because he did a whole lot for Oklahoma in their defense. He did a whole lot. Don't really see some big-time defenders from Oklahoma much. Kenneth Murray is one of those guys. He can play inside, can play outside, can rush the passer, sideline to sideline. Freakish talent, very instinct. I like Murray a lot. I think you can tell. I like him a lot. I think this would be a heck of a pick for the Raiders here. The Jags grab their corner. They take Christian Fulton, cornerback LSU. Now a guy that maybe other people are higher on than I am. Good player, obviously good player. I think there's better corners still on the board, but, this is more predicting what's going to happen. I do think he's a first-round talent. The Jags kind of can fill that Ramsey hole, I guess, there. And then the Eagles take Laviska Shenault, one of my favorite players in the draft, maybe my favorite player in the draft. I mean, this is a football player. You get the ball in this guy's hands. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. And usually those guys, don't really have a whole bunch of knowledge for the game. Maybe can't run routes, but to me, Shenault can do everything. He's not going to run a route like Jerry Jeudy. He's not going to be that, he's not. His feet aren't going to be that quick. But it seems like they are after he's got the ball. He's a do-it-all guy. If he was a running back, to me, he would get drafted as a running back in this class, but he's a receiver for a reason. He can high-point the ball. He can catch it anywhere on the field. He can run people over. He's got tremendous vision. Imagining him with Carson Wentz is just very scary. So I really like Shenault here. I don't see him getting by this point. I really don't. A.J. Epinesa to the Bills. The Bills need pass rush to make their defense elite. It's really the only thing they're lacking. They got decent guys on there, but you want to be great. You want to be elite. I think they'll sign one in free agency, and even with that, if they sign one big one, I still think they can draft a guy like this here in the draft. If Epinesa falls to 22, you pretty much almost feel like you have to, but at the same time, they need another one. I think their future is who they pull from free agency and who they draft here. I know Hughes has had some pretty good years. You also need a rotation on top of it, but I think their future is the guy they draft here and the guy they get from free agency. Interesting one, I got the Patriots taking T. Higgins, receiver from Clemson. And why it's interesting, because we really don't see, I guess the Patriots taking another receiver. It's hard for me to see at the same time. They rarely take a receiver in the first round. They took one last year in Harry, who I believe in 100%. I guess rough, some would consider rough at times. Coming off an injury, had a legitimate excuse. But there's really no logic behind that. They're not going to take another receiver because they took one last year. Or they don't take one. There's really no logic behind that. When it comes down to it, yeah, I guess the offensive line, you wish it was a little better, but they kind of figured out a way to keep Brady protected down the line, in the against the Titans. I thought they blocked pretty well. There's receivers just were not getting open. That's the bottom line. There was a struggle at the point of release, from the line. And I like Higgins in that category. I think some people actually disagree. I really like Higgins against press, off the line. Really, for a 6'4" guy, I think really good with his feet and recognizing where he has to go. And obviously has a good catch radius as well. I think the Patriots would love to have him, pair him with N'Keal Harry. They need more receivers, and there's one definitely worthy of the 23rd overall pick here in T. Higgins. The Saints go Trevon Diggs, corner from Alabama. I like Diggs, I think, more than other people. He's got the rare combination of athleticism and physicality. You rarely see that. It's either they're kind of have one, or they don't have the other one, or they're maybe kind of lacking a little bit of one of them. Diggs has that. He's a little over aggressive at times. Didn't have a firm cornerback position for a long time, so he's still learning. I thought I only seen good things from Diggs. Even the games where like Jamar Chase, who beat everybody, by the way, even where Chase got the better of him, I actually saw good things. I see some good traits from Diggs. I believe in him, just maybe a little cleaning up to do. The Saints need cornerback. They needed receivers too. It's been common to mock a receiver to them. It would be great if they can grab a receiver, maybe like Justin Jefferson here. But I just don't see them doing it. They don't really value that position that much. Because they have maybe the best receiver in football doesn't mean they value it. Look where they drafted him. They definitely could use another one, but they could use a corner. They brought in Janoris Jenkins for a reason. Off waivers. They're not going to pay him the 11 to 12 million this year. They're going to cut him. Maybe they want to take a pay cut. Bottom line is, when he comes in and when he's, where he's at in his career and he helps them actually, they need corners. They need corners there. So Diggs they would love to have. I think he'd be their best corner in the way they sit. I think he'd be their best corner, right away. I know they got Marshawn Lattimore, but I really like Diggs. I shouldn't say right away, day one, you expect Lattimore to be better, but I really like the potential of Diggs. Lattimore started the year off very good. Second half of the year, hate to say it, but it was pretty bad, So not that they're trying to replace him or anything, but the duo of Diggs and Lattimore could be a pretty good one for a long time in that scenario. The Vikings next, Marlon Davidson, defense lineman from Auburn, another guy shooting up boards. The Vikings actually got really good pass rush from the edge, but it was non-existent from the inside, and that's kind of what brings the whole thing together. Talking about interior pressure is key. They're always kind of looking for that next guy that can get pressure from the inside. To me, that's Marlon Davidson. To me, he has the potential to play 4-3 end, 3-4 end, or kind of play inside in a 4-3, and I think that's what they do here with the Vikings. It seems like Mike Zimmer's always looking for this guy. He's a guy that's going to get pressure for them on the inside. There's also potential maybe he can take over for a guy like Everson Griffin. But I would like him kind of in their 3 technique spot there, which they're still looking for. Because as good as their pass rush was, they didn't have much from the inside there at all. Terrell Lewis to the Dolphins. Pass rusher, edge rusher that could really move around a bit. Seen him actually rush from the inside. I really like that. Shows he has some potential. Those type of guys are game changers. So the Dolphins, obviously, they need a pass rush. More pass rush there. There are multiple guys on the edge, so that's where they go there. Seahawks go Cole Kmet, Notre Dame tight end. To me, number 1 tight end in this class, hands down, total package. Freakish dude. You see him when he came into Notre Dame and where he is now. Looks like a totally different person. He can block. He can catch the ball anywhere on the field. He can run after the catch. You wish there was a little more speed there, I guess, but he can get that. Freakish dude. The Seahawks, they have Will Dissly. I like Will Dissly. 2 years in the NFL. He's gotten hurt, though, both years. He's talented. I like him. But tight end's a big part of the Seahawks offense. Big part. So even with Dissly, they need another one. They need another one to make an impact. They need another target. I don't see them taking a receiver in the first round. I don't think they value it like that. Kmet, even with Dissly healthy, which is a chance he can be injured, hate to say it, I think that'll be a heck of a pick and make them that much better. The Ravens take Patrick Queen, the linebacker from LSU, former running back actually, so not a whole bunch of experience at linebacker, and he's able to do all that in that amount of time. Pretty impressive. A lot of potential. The Ravens lose C.J. Mosley last year. They got a couple free agents this year, and it was kind of I guess a little bit of a weaker spot in their defense, so they kind of rebuild that real quickly, retool that with Patrick Queen. The Titans, to me, only it depends on what they do with their free agents. They got a lot of free agents, but only have one big need at the moment, and that's edge rush. And they go Julian Okwara, which I think fits their defense perfectly. Okwara is kind of a guy that's gotten lost in this process. I think during the season, everyone was kind of hyping him up, and all of a sudden kind of got lost in it. Okwara's going to go first round. I'm pretty confident he's going to go first round. He's an excellent pass rusher. To me, and this is what's going to surprise people, but to me, he's a very productive pass rusher. People will run and look at the stats. He doesn't have tremendous stats. There's some production there, But the reason I say he's got he does have the production because you look at what Notre Dame did this year. They didn't play a whole bunch of pocket passing teams. They played some teams that are gonna throw a little option at you. So a lot of the time, Okwara was actually dropping back in coverage, dropping out to contain the option because they needed him to because he's that talented. When he actually pass rushed, he was very efficient. He's a very efficient pass rusher. He can do a whole lot of things. So I think for stats-wise, I think people kind of are losing Okwara a little bit. But to me, he's a first-round guy. Packers take Justin Jefferson. Enough's enough. You go get a receiver finally. I've been saying for years they need another receiver. And, finally we really see that they really, really do. Devontae Adams, a little harsh, but that's pretty much all they got. They have other guys that can play, that can catch the ball. They made big plays, but are they really starting receivers? To me, you need at least 2 number 1 receivers. It sounds funny, but that's the way I look at it. You need 2 number 1 receivers. You need 2 number 2 receivers, or you could even argue you need 3 number 1 receivers, and the Packers only have 1. They only have 1. Justin Jefferson could be another one of those guys that can get open for them and take that offense to the next level. They got their defense under control, even though they're going to have some needs. You get Justin Jefferson in there. The Niners take Xavier McKinney, safety from Alabama. I always seem to mock him to the Niners. It's just, it's a fit. They want the physical guys that aren't afraid to come up and hit, high motor guys. That's McKinney. They also have Jimmy Ward, who's a free agent. They also can use some help back there. And a guy that, I wouldn't, he's a safety, but I would not rule out him, being able to play corner. He's very physical, and I've seen him press at the line. The guy, to me, he's a defensive back. He can play any spot. He can start at any spot in the field. Niners would love to have him. Another corner here, the Chiefs take C.J. Henderson. They also want a physical corner. C.J. Henderson's kind of that, but also a do-it-all corner there. So they grab him at the end of the first round. Moving on to the second round, try to move through this a little quicker. Bengals get another LSU player for Joe Burrow. They get Lloyd Cushenberry, who can play the interior, and I think he plays guard for them. It's very possible he plays center. I think they're going to put Jonah Williams out at left tackle, so the Bengals need to keep Burrow protected, get him his own teammate there. The Colts take Neville Gallimore, defense line from Oklahoma. They're looking for the interior defensive line guys. They get that with Gallimore here. Another one here, another interior defense line, Ross Blacklock from TCU, a guy that's not going to show up on the stat sheet a lot, in the box score a lot. Kind of a guy that's going to collapse the pocket and get the lineman back in the quarterback's face. It's one of those types of guys which, interior pressure, it makes an impact. So the Lions grabbed that. We thought their D-line was going to be good this year. It was insanely disappointing, to say the least. So they definitely need to kind of revamp that a little bit. Giants need a 3-4 edge rusher if they want to keep that defense. Zach Bond is a very productive one. You kind of look at him, that maybe some other guys look a little freakier, but Zach Bond has proven that he can get after the quarterback, and he can play at a pretty high level. I mean, the guy can drop back as well. So the Giants go that route. Another LSU player, another couple of them actually. Sadiq Charles, the left tackle from LSU, was extremely underrated in my opinion. Phenomenal year. I know he missed a few games to start the year, but maybe that's why nobody's really talking about him even in the second round. I actually think there's a chance he can go first. Nobody's saying that. I think we'll be talking about that soon. The guy's a beast. I mean, he protected Joe Burrow all year, and we've seen him in the run game. Even, the run game or when Hilaire caught the ball, close to the line of scrimmage, he's downfield blocking. So, after the catch there. So, the Chargers need some offense linemen for the future. Panthers go with Grant Delpit, safety from LSU. I've been kind of moving Delpit down for a long time now, and we see some other people start to do that now. People always get mad at me when I do it, but there's always a reason for it. I explained it then, I'll explain it again. A heck of a player, highly instinctive, can do multiple different things, can be a playmaker. But once you see a guy miss that many tackles, he starts to fall down. I'm not comparing him to his former teammate Greedy Williams, but because he's a totally different position, even though they're both DBs. But Greedy was, a top-tier we thought was a top-tier cornerback in that draft class, but fell down past a good chunk of them because of the tackling issue. Delpit picked it up a little bit in the playoff, tackling, but that the slight difference what splits up those guys, because there's going to be top-tier talent drafted in the second round still. There always is, but something just splits them up. And that could be it. The Panthers are going to be in the market to draft the best player available at this point, I think. So and that it'll be dealt. But the Dolphins go with the running back that they need to go, DeAndre Swift, running back from Georgia. You see no running backs in the first round. I think that's very possible because, not much is splitting up guys like Swift, guys like Hilaire, J.K. Dobbins, and even after that, it's not a huge fall. The next guys, Cam Akers, so we can go on forever. There's, teams that we're going to, mainly you look at the top three, the first three I named, teams are going to be okay with pretty much any of those three, so they'll wait. They'll wait a little bit, and that's why thinking about the value of the position, you look at the running backs that were in the Super Bowl, they will drop. DeAndre Swift is, I'd say, the best pure runner in the draft class. The Dolphins take that here. Cardinals could use a right tackle. They could fill that in free agency. Isaiah Wilson from Georgia, so we see two back-to-back Georgia players. So they grab him to start day one at right tackle, potentially. We got the next picks here. Tyler Biadasz to the Browns. We see them grab a tackle, Tristan Wirfs, earlier. Now they grab their guard. So they're loading up that offensive line. Denzel Mims, who's shooting up my board. I actually think there's a chance. I don't have him in the first round, but there's a chance he can go first round. Really a safe prospect. There's really no flaw to his game. At the point of the catch, he's very, very good. I'd say elite in terms of a college prospect here. Elite hand check, I'd call it. You see receivers, what some would call getting away with offensive PI or a push-off, but at the point where it's never going to get called. It's so quick. It's soft, but it does, and it's so slight, but it does enough. Denzel Mims has seemed to master that, and it's never going to get called. Some people may think that, but Denzel Mims, the Jags could use a player like him. He's definitely one that's rising up the board. The Bears need to get Khalil Mack some help at the opposite side. Leonard Floyd, pretty solid in run support, but he's just not getting after the quarterback. You need a guy that's proven they can get after the quarterback. We can teach him other things. Bradley Anai gets after the quarterback. Maybe he doesn't have the measurables that you want, but he gets after the quarterback and had a hell of a Senior Bowl. A guy that another one has a chance to sneak in at the end of the first round there. So pairing him with Khalil Mack, pretty scary there going forward. Colts go Brandon Ayuk. A lot of people split on him. Some people think he easily should go first. It's possible. Freakish guy. Freakish guy. Today's NFL receiver. Very smart receiver, very fast receiver. You worry about him against maybe the physical corners. It's really the only downside. The Colts definitely need another guy there to stretch the field. The Bucs go Jacob Eason, quarterback Washington. They still need a running back, but they got their offensive lineman. And now they get their quarterback. There's rumors they could like Rivers over there. Eason, I'd compare to, maybe like a Stafford / or Rivers even, similar style. So the Buccaneers can get him to learn behind him if that's that's a possibility. We'll see if Rivers actually lands there. But either way, I still think they can be, he doesn't have to land there for them to be interested in Eason. And it's possible he can go first round. There's some talk on that. Just not seeing it. Jeff Gladney has potential to go first round. We see how good this draft class is. A bunch of these guys have potential to go first round. The Broncos need another corner. They actually need a couple. Gladney is a freakish athlete, but he's you're looking at him, you don't think he's that physical, but when you actually watch him play, he's actually pretty physical, very impressive. The Falcons go Clyde Edwards-Helaire. They could go J.K. Dobbins here. They go Helaire. The Falcons want to pass the ball. They want to pass the ball. They want to pass it some more. That's what they want to do. Freeman's not the answer long-term anymore. Could be cut. Could still be there. Doesn't matter. Helaire is the best pass-catching back in the draft. He can run routes. I'm right there maybe giving him the crown for RB1 on my board because he can run the hell out of the ball, but what he brings after that, catching the ball. And it would not shock me if he was the first running back off the board. I still have Swift. Still really, it's tough. It's tough to predict that, who will be the first. But the Falcons will like him a lot. They will like Edwards-Helaire a lot. Gross Matos to the Jets. There's rumors that maybe the media is a little higher on him than everyone else. And I kind of had him early second all along here, and I think that's where he'll go. The Jets need another pass rusher here. So they have a few needs. So they can go multiple routes here, but they can't pass on him there. Next group of picks, Adam Trautman, tight end from Dayton, who's rising up, could be the second best tight end in the draft. Proven blocker, and then kind of developed as a pass catcher. That just sounds like the best tight ends in football right now in the NFL and what their road looked like. So that's an appealing tight end there. Good Senior Bowl. The Steelers take that. Bears could be in the market for a tight end too. I think they can wait. You can get some good ones there in the third round after this. They need one more starting lineman and they need it pretty desperately. They need another guard. Cesar Ruiz from Michigan, reps at center and guard. It seems like that's appealing to the Bears. We'll look at look at Whitehair can play both. You look at Daniels can play both. And they can grab another one here that I think they plug at right guard, actually. And then, people worried about, their tackles didn't play so hot last year. I know Massey, was injured, but I don't think they're going to, at this point in the draft, I don't think they're going to find a starter. So you're really not going to help yourself for this year unless you're they're definitely not going to go on a rebuild mode, but if you're going to need a tackle for the future is my point. I don't think you need it there. Jalen Johnson, a long corner from Utah, possibly can go first. I've heard some of that, but I got him here dropping the second. The Cowboys could lose Byron Jones. Even with that, they could use another one, so they grab him. The Rams need offensive line. They need multiple offensive linemen. They go Austin Jackson from USC, kind of a potential guy, I'd say, a raw. I don't think he's gonna. I'm worried. People are higher on him than me. I don't think he's gonna start the year great. Maybe he's not even starting, but a lot of potential there. Cameron Dantzler from Mississippi State, maybe one of the more underrated corners in the draft. Another guy that's kind of lanky, athletic, but more physical than you think. But really locked down some good receivers this year. The Eagles would love to have him. Jalen Reagor from TCU, I put on his tape and was blown away. To me, he has first-round talent, first-round traits, but this is where I think he goes. If you watch him, the TCU pretty much stuck him wide right, for a guy that's, maybe a shade under 6 foot, and maybe the fastest player in the draft right there with Henry Ruggs, Anthony McFarland, those guys. You would think he'd play in the slot a little more. You'd think he would move. Sometimes he would line up left. I mean, it happened. It's not like it happened 0 times in the slot or left side. But a lot of times he would line up in the left and they would motion him over to the right. Also, on top of that, it was pretty much a screen or a go for him. But what I like a lot is that he's got 4.2 speed and he's very shifty. He's very good after the catch. But on top of all of that, he can high point the ball. He's a good contested catcher. He's very smart, knows when to jump, very balanced, and knows exactly when to go high point the ball and beat out the corner. So that stood out because usually those speed guys like that don't really have that. He's a football player. He's going to go get the ball and he can run after the catch. With those traits, you would think that he has a chance to go first round. I'm just feeling kind of with the risk, kind of the risk that maybe a guy like Corey Coleman had that surprisingly went in the first round, didn't have a big route tree. We saw how fast he was. Reagor's going to be faster than him. But it kind of reminds me of that a little bit, but I like Reagor a lot more than Coleman. I thought Coleman was drafted too high at the time anyways. I think teams would just be a little scared at the same time of other receivers being there, other talented receivers, obviously. So I think he can drop a little bit. And, the Bills would be happy to have him. They need pass rush receiver. That's really about it. Other than that, they need some depth. So they'd be happy to have him. The Falcons take A.J. Terrell. Rough national championship game, but I'm not really worried about it. It was only, again, going against Jamar Chase is tough. Jamar Chase is going to be the first receiver off the board next year. He's ridiculously talented. And Terrell was pretty much locked down all year, so has a lot of potential. Dolphins grab another offensive lineman, this time interior, Damon Lewis from LSU. Can start day one at guard for them. And now J.K. Dobbins comes off the board. So, yeah, it took a little bit. It's a guy that could definitely go first round still, but like I explained with the running backs, the top three, including Dobbins, Hilaire, and Swift, I think teams will be like, we'll be okay with any one of those. And some teams may be like, all right, we'll be okay with Cam Akers, Jonathan Taylor, Zach Moss, Anthony McFarland, guys like that. We'll be okay with those guys because the value of the position won, and there's really not that much of a difference. We saw who was in the Super Bowl, Mozart versus Damian Williams, and other guys in there. So I think they'll drop a little bit. Dobbins, at the moment, I have running back 3 in the draft. That's a damn good running back 3, very talented, very shifty, very good with his feet laterally. So very impressive there, and also has the strength too. Texans would love to have him. Almost too good to pass here. The Vikings need their left tackle in the future. Go Lucas Nang. If it wasn't for an injury, I think he'd go a little higher. So some potential there. I love the fit of Josh Uche to the Seahawks. The Seahawks, base defense is 4-3, but they always like to have a guy on the one of those guys that can play off the ball a little bit or that can drop back in coverage, and I think Uche is that. He could be. I wouldn't be surprised either way if this guy's an edge rusher, on a team, or if he's playing, or a team like the Seahawks, if he's an edge rusher, or if he's a position like outside linebacker, not rushing. or used in blitz packages. I wouldn't be surprised either way. He's a talented player, helped himself at the Senior Bowl because he's shown he has potential pass rushing, but he's pretty damn good at covering too. The Ravens could use another receiver. Tyler Johnson's a guy that's kind of been forgotten about in this process, and it's crazy. Highly productive, good hands. Can high point the ball. Very good in the middle of the field. Big playability. He's kind of got lost in this process somehow. I think he'd be very good on the Ravens. I don't see him really getting by round 2, but everyone's receiver board is going to be different. Titans could use another corner here. Rumors about them possibly cutting Butler. I'm not seeing that. But he got hurt this year. Dory Jackson was hurt at times. They really don't have too many outside corners after that. Bryce Hall is their type of guy. Robinson always likes to draft the guys with the experience, guys that proven consecutive years that they can play. And that's the type of guy they'll be looking for out there. The Packers go Jordan Brooks, linebacker from Texas Tech. Underrated probably because Texas Tech. They never have big-time defensive players. The thing I've been doing for a long time when I'm watching film and somebody has a big play against Texas Tech, I never really thought too much of it, in a Big 12 battle because that's how bad their defense has been, honestly. It's maybe a little harsh, but it's definitely true. But Jordan Brooks was dominant this year, machine everywhere. See him in the backfield, see him sideline to sideline. Rare talent to come out of Texas Tech. I think definitely a second-round pick the Packers need. Possibly multiple linebackers in there, not the pass rush linebackers, but the inside linebackers in there, 3-4. Shane Lemieux from Oregon going to play guard. The Seahawks could grab another guard. So pretty good, having 3 picks at this point, looking pretty good for the Seahawks. He's a guard that definitely can be on the rise here. That offensive line is great in general. I always a believer in you're as good as your unit in terms of the offensive line. So it is pretty tough because that unit was great, but he's got his bright moments. They got some guys, going to come out next year as well. Throckmorton's an interesting one. He's in this draft class, was right tackle for Oregon. There's belief that he can be moved to guard. So it's possible he can be drafted maybe the first one off the board as a guard, even though he was a tackle. So that's pretty interesting, the Oregon O-line there. And the Chiefs go with KJ Hamler, pretty interesting one. They go with the receiver from Penn State. Why? Because speed, more speed. He could even be drafted earlier in this because teams want speed. But to go more in depth, why? Sammy Watkins, who had a big Super Bowl, by the way, big time game for him, talented guy. He's due $14 million, or he'd be a $14 million cap hit if they cut him. They could save $14 million. That's a lot of money. Tough decision because he is an impact player in their group, but they easily could just get it back here. Even more speed, why not? They'll make them that much better there. So that's a possibility. I mean, we still got a lot of good guys on the board here after 2 rounds. A lot of good receivers. See how good the class is here. Not just the receiver class, but in general. But we'll be here to have more mock drafts and plenty of breakdowns, rankings, everything for the NFL draft, everything for NFL free agency, the whole offseason in general. I cannot wait for all of that. It's sad the season's over, but we got you covered in the offseason here. I'm pumped. So appreciate everyone's support. Thank you for helping us get to 40K. Please help us get to 40K and beyond on our other channel. And beyond on this channel. Follow our Twitter. There's a link in the description for all of that. Our Twitter, our new channel. Help us out by subscribing and following. Would really appreciate it. That's going to do it for this one, though. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.